Why is activism important for introverts? I'm Kathy Bertolli from the IntimacyDojo.com, and I'm here with Yosinio Lewis, and you'll be speaking about activism for introverts at Woodhull Sexual Freedom Conference in about a month.
Yes.
Why did you choose that topic?
Basically because I am both an activist and an introvert. And there are many times when I get afraid to conduct myself in the ways of activism. But I feel compelled to do it. So I have to acknowledge that I'm an introvert, acknowledge that it's uncomfortable for me to be in the spotlight, but still do it.
Yeah.
Still be there and find a way to overcome my shyness and my fears, and just say the work that needs to be done is so much more important than me hiding behind, I don't want anybody to say or do anything that will embarrass me or make me feel bad.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What can you share one tip? Because some of the people watching this won't be able to come to your workshop.
Yeah, what I would say is there are times when you see an injustice happening and you really, really, really cannot just sit with it. And you can't ignore it. You can't pretend like it's not there.
We're getting a lot of practice with that right now.
We sure are. Because it's just so hard. It just hurts your heart so much. So you've got to do something. And then you also recognize, but I don't want all that limelight. I don't want people knowing my name. I don't want them coming to me and asking me for more guidance. I don't want all that. I just want to do something meaningful. And I'll share with you, one time I was at a conference and there was a very important person, a government official, who was at the conference doing keynote and talking about AIDS. And this was back in the late 90s, talking about AIDS and consistently saying lesbian and gay, lesbian and gay, lesbian and gay. Now the conference ostensibly was for LGBT, but B and T were being ignored and ignored and ignored. And I was slowly, more and more, the fuse was just about to explode. And I couldn't deal with it, and I just stood up. And I raised my hand in a fist. And the man never paid attention to me. He kept going. He finished his entire speech, sat down, and the MC for that moment was talking about announcements and what was next going to happen at the conference. And then she eventually turned to me and said, "Why are you standing up?" And I said, because someone has to stand up for all the bisexuals and transgender and intersex and other labeled people who also have AIDS and are also dying and are also struggling and can't even be recognized by this man. Of course, that's not how it came out. The way it came out was, well, because my voice was gone. Yeah. And I was scared, and it was crackling, and it was horrible. But I took that stand for myself and for others. I'm not HIV positive. I don't have AIDS, but so many of my people in my life do have it, or had it and died from it. And I just could not, I felt I wasn't honoring them if I didn't stand up and do something and bring them into the room and make them a part of what was happening. So I did.
Congratulations.
And it scared the crap out of me, and other people stood up, and other people started clapping, and other people said, "Me too," and "Me too," and "Me too." We've had Me Too movements since movements began. But this was another Me Too movement, and I felt so honored and yet so scared. Because in my world, I had not represented well. My voice kept crackling, and it would just go out, and I would be whispering, and I wasn't the strong lion that I was supposed to be, but I was.
You're supposed to be.
Right, but I was a strong little cub that I was supposed to be, and I with my crackly voice and my whispers and my complete silence, I still got the point across, and there were other people in the room who were then emboldened. And we hear that a lot these days, people being emboldened. But maybe we need to be emboldened to say, I'm scared out of my mind to do this thing right now, but if I don't do it, then I allow the injustice to be perpetuated. And so I must stand up. I must say something. I must change what's happening. And if it can be a little change, like just standing up. Just literally standing up and being seen. like that guy in Tiananmen Square who stood with his grocery bags in front of the tank. You know, he wasn't stopping all the oppression in China, but he was, for that moment, stopping that tank from harming anyone. And in that moment, all the energy of resistance shone through and gave other people opportunities to recognize, I can do that one little thing. I can't be the person who's the spokesperson, and off the top of my head, I come up with the amazing quote that becomes everybody says that quote now because I came up with it. I might not
I would
be able
love to be that person every once in a while.
Absolutely. I have an ego. Yes, I want it to be stroked, and I want to be able to be famous and all that too. But maybe all that I can really do is say, I'm scared out of my mind, but this is the one thing that I can do. And so I'll do this little thing, and then maybe I'll go back and fade away, and people will never remember me. But for that one moment, I'll be able to say to myself, I actually made a difference.
You put that energy out there. I think that a lot of people, like when I think of activism, my first thought isn't the quiet person making the phone calls or writing the signs or helping organize things. It's the person standing there with the sign or making the impassioned speeches.
Right.
And I think we can grow into it. My belief is courage is often something we need to build up, like it's going to the gym and building up the muscles.
Exactly.
And some people may never want to, but there's a lot of room for people to do a lot of good without being there with that sign or just you standing up. I think that's so brave and like, no, this isn't okay. You're silencing and making people invisible, and I'm going to stand up for it.
Right. And it continued to be scary for me.
Yeah.
But there are some people who were at that conference who to this day will say, you did that thing and then it inspired me to go and do my little thing. And, like I heard about some law called FASTA, SESTA, SU, poo, 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 poo. And I don't want to be associated with sex workers because I just don't, because that's just too fraught with emotion and craziness for me. But you know what I can do? I can order some pizzas, and when they're doing their phone banking, I can make sure they eat. Or I can come and do some envelope stuffing. I can do that kind of stuff that doesn't necessarily associate me with the cause, but allows me to know that I've done something that's helped others who can be more public about the cause.
Well, and I love that Woodhull is part of the class action suit.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And that's, if I might just steal a little bit of that thunder, that is what, that kind of action is what makes me proud to have been on the board of Woodhull for the time that I was. Because actions like that happen, because we had those kind of conversations about how do we make long-term change. We can address this particular issue, we can shine a light on it, but long-term we need to make some change. So what can we do? And standing up and saying, we will be the ones who will take the public hits. Once again, saying, I'm scared. I don't know if I can really make this happen, but I know I have to try. So as an introvert who wants to make a change, who wants to do well in the world, who feels called to make that change, to do things that can affect change, I have to do something. I have to stand up. I have to say something. I have to get passionate. I have to express that passion in a way that makes people think, wow, he can do it. I guess I can do a little something too. If he can stand up, I can stand up. If he can say, no, that's not okay, I can say it's not okay. If he can make 15 calls in one day, I can make 16 calls in one day. If he can stuff 24 envelopes, I'm going to stuff 124 envelopes. There are things that we can do as introverts that does not require us to be in the spotlight all the time. Doesn't require us to have those pithy rejoinders when somebody says or does something. If we have them, we should utilize them. But it's not a requirement to do that, to call yourself an activist. What it is to care and to be willing to do something to show that you care.
Well, it sounds like it's really important to find, from what you're sharing, so you have to be something you're passionate about, because that will help you get past the fear.
Right.
So finding the angle or the aspect that you can really get behind.
As well as using that fear. The way that I have come to my activism every single time that I have picked a topic to expound upon or to actually do some work around, it's because I was angry. I was angry at the way people were being treated. I was angry at the way I was being treated. And it became important for me to say, I can't wait for somebody else. I can't wait for that famous celebrity to take up my cause. I'm right here. I can take up my cause. And however I do it, But then somebody else could end up doing it as well. Somebody
Yeah.
else can end up saying or doing the thing that turns the tide.
Well, we need multiple voices on this. It's not just a one voice thing. Then everyone's going, "Oh, of course we should have done it that way. If that was that easy, it'd be delightful." But
As well as recognizing that activism takes so many forms. It's not just what we normally think of. It's all those things that we don't think about. And sometimes that person who thinks, I can't get in front of the camera and I can't speak into the microphone. But look at the people who are doing it. Look at the Parkland students. Look at the people who have been at the various marches and have spoken. The children who have spoken. The people who are 9 and 10 and 11 who are speaking, and they might not have the PhD in English, and so they're expounding like Shakespeare. They don't have to do that. They just have to say their truth, and it's so honest and it's so loving, and it just grabs you by your heart, and from that you are inspired to say or do something.
yeah,
And I know, please hear me when I say I know, as an introvert, it is scary even to do the things where you're not in the spotlight. Yet you know how good you feel when you do it. You know when you stand up and say something, or you stand up and make it possible for someone else to say something. That's another part of it. It doesn't have to be you doing it. It can be you smoothing the way for somebody else to be able to. So you're not comfortable going to that kinky conference. You're into kink, but you're afraid who's going to find out.
yeah,
How am I going to explain this to family because they don't know about it? My job doesn't know about it, etc. Okay, but what if you paid for the flight for someone else to go and speak? Someone who is comfortable being in the spotlight but doesn't have the funds.
yeah,
You're doing activism while still honoring the fact that you are an introvert who can't be in the spotlight, or is just choosing not to.
yeah.
There are so many ways. If we expand the way we think of activism and think of introversion and how they can actually meld.
Yeah, how can you take care of yourself and your needs while supporting something that matters a lot?
Right, and recognizing that that support is a part of your needs. They're not so divorced
It's
from
not a
each other.
conflict. It's
Right.
part of.
Yeah, where they complement each other. And that's what I want to bring. I want to bring that notion to more people so they understand they have a choice. They have a choice in how they are going to define activism for themselves,
Yeah.
as well as how they're going to define introversion for themselves, and how they can find that place where there is that intersection. I'm
Yeah.
all about intersections, people.
Yeah.
So there is an intersection between activism and introversion, and I just want to bring that to the forefront so more people know about it and more people have that opportunity to really say, wow, I didn't even think I could do this, or I
Yeah.
could do that, or
I love that.
you know,
I love that.
I'm great at makeup. So what I'm going to do is volunteer to be the one who puts on people's makeup before they go out and
So they
speak.
can feel confident and playful.
Right.
and
I mean, there's
yeah.
just so many things that are available to us when we get out of our own way.
Yes, yes.
And just remember, we don't have to be the superstar that you see in order to be the superstar that we really are inside.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. Why Woodhull?
Woodhull, because Woodhull is a place where there's an opportunity for all of my intersections to meet,
Yeah.
and I'm able to really have that place where I can say, for me, it's all about autonomy, and autonomy. When you are taking your autonomy, when you are living your autonomy, you also have responsibilities. So part of my responsibility is, if I'm going to talk about how important it is for me to have the right to do what I want with my body,
Right.
I also have to be in support of the sex workers to be able to have the right to do what they want with
Oh,
their
absolutely.
body, as well as the person who is at the end of their life and wants to die with dignity. They have a right to do what they want with their life, as well as the person who wants to do all kinds of body modification that might scare the crap out of me.
Like, that sounds
They
really
have a
painful.
right.
I don't want to do
Yeah,
it, but you
but they
certainly
have
go
a
ahead.
right. And who am I to
Yeah.
continue to support a rule or a law or an attitude that says you're bad or wrong if you do that?
Yeah.
There are so many body autonomy stories, and we haven't even touched on reproductive justice.
Oh, yeah.
But there's so many parts to body autonomy that need to be highlighted. I can't stay in my little silo. I've got to talk about the other ways that autonomy manifests, and I want to do that. Woodhull is a place where that can happen, where there's a recognition that your ability to do what you want with your body, as long as you're not harming anyone else, that is something that is fundamental to surviving in the world and thriving in the world. Woodhull gets that.
Well, and I love it because, I mean, yes, it's so inclusive and there are people there are very aware, and it's also a recharge for me.
Yes.
Like, a lot of us work alone or work in small area, you know, we don't have a lot of other people doing what we do. And getting together with other people and going, oh wow, I can just be me and I don't have to lead right this minute always, and I can get recharged and inspired by others. I love that.
And there's always something we can learn. There's always a new technique. There's always a new way to recharge. There's always a new way to say, you know what, I need to step back from this particular thing and let somebody else do this. Or I need some more learning, and that person over there has more knowledge than I do, so let me go and get what I can from them and give back in return, because it's not all about take. We got to do a little giving as well. But Woodhull provides that incubator for those new dreams to sprout, for them to come to life, and for them to be nourished. So it's very important to have that space. Woodhull, the summit provides that space. Woodhull itself provides the foundation for the space to occur, for the thinking to occur, for the action to occur.
Yeah, no, I love it. Thank you so much for being willing to share about this. Do you have any last tips to people that want to make a difference, but they're not even sure how to even start?
If you're coming to the conference, come to the workshop.
Because Yasinio's workshops are always great and very interactive and very safe places to be.
They absolutely are, because believe me, I'm scared out of my mind, so I want to do whatever I can to keep you feeling good and keep me feeling good. So if you're at the conference, come to the workshop and we can learn some new techniques as well. You can always write to me on Facebook or on Twitter. Twitter is Yosenyo L, so my first name and then the letter L.
We'll put it below.
Yes, so look below. I always see people when I'm watching videos, look below, and I never look below. So look below, and you'll find out how you can contact me. And I'm very willing to speak more about how I can help you or how I can help your organization to move forward. You know, and especially if you are an introvert, I'm telling you, I get it. I really get it. Like oh my God, I don't want to go to a bar and have to do chit chat and small talk, and I don't drink and I don't want to be in that environment. I get that. But I also get how you can maneuver things in a way to get what you need and also be of service to others. Because that's my thing. I need to be of service. So many people have helped me to get to where I am now. I want to give back, and this is one way that I can utilize my ability to talk, my ability to make people laugh, my ability to make people feel. I can do that to help make some really good change in the world.
Yeah, I love that. And just a tip I've learned, because I'm an introvert and I wanted to be part of a community, and this also works for activist groups, is find out who's in charge and just email them or leave them a voicemail and say, hey, I'm really shy. Are there some low visibility things that you need done? I promise you, when people offer to do that for my events I throw, I'm like, God bless you. Yes, there are.
Only about 1,000.
Yes.
Just, I mean, you know, I don't want to overwhelm you, but about 1,000 things that you could do.
Yeah, but just letting them know what your needs are.
Right.
Because I know a lot of times people want to be visible, so we don't know all the time. If we're organizing something, we'll try to distribute the visible things to everybody.
Right.
But if we know someone really loves doing quieter things, or like, tell them what you're really good at. I'm really good at programming a website or tweeting or organizing the food or whatever it is. Tell them that you like doing A, B, C, D and you like low visibility but supportive roles. I bet they're going to be really excited most of the time to have you be part of it.
And not only excited, if they're like me, they're going to recognize you. They're going to remember that what you did was just as important as the hard-charging, in-your-face, very visible person that might be associated with the topic. You're just as important, because that hard-charging person can't have the energy to do what they do if they don't have you there supporting them with the fundamental things. So whatever it is that you're going to do, if you're going to make sure there's lunch when people are organizing.
deal.
If you're going to make sure that the hotel room that they might be in actually provides the accessible things that they need, rather than the person getting there after being on the red eye and they're exhausted and they forget to ask what kind of room it is, and until they get there and they figure out this is not going to meet my needs.
Yeah.
But now I'm here and I'm
just so tired I don't want to move.
If you can be that person who can make those phone calls or send those emails to ensure that, for instance, that I get the accessible room that I need, you can believe I'm going to make sure that you get acknowledged as well. And it doesn't have to be, and so, Jane so-and-so, I might not say your name, but I might say there's a person who really made it easy for me to be here, who really helped to take care of me in the way I needed to be taken care of. And that was your activism. Even though you're an introvert, your name might not ever be said, might not ever be shared with people, but what you did is shared, and you know it, and I know it. Like, when you're willing to be there and be a part of making that change in whatever ways that you can, we're all needed. We're all needed. It reminds me of that story about NASA and I can't remember who it was. Some muckety muck, either one of the astronauts or the head of NASA, who was being asked about how did all this come together, and the response was, well, you know what? We had really great janitors. Because the janitors kept the place clean, so we didn't have to think about that. We didn't have to worry about that. We could worry about these other factors, but we didn't have to worry about the fundamentals because there were people there who took care of us. Yeah. And that's how it matters. That's how things change. Yeah. When the people who aren't seen and aren't known are doing their work, then those of us who get some kind of spotlight, we're able to get that spotlight and we're able to utilize it because we have people below us as our foundation, as our support, making sure that we are taken care of. And that is how we can make activism and introversion work for us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this. I can't wait for your talk.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below. We'll try to get back to you, and I will see you in a month.
Yes, you will.
Bye, everyone.